welcome to Beyond Care, a podcast that digs deep into the heart of caregiving, the challenges, the triumphs, and everything in between. I'm Annika Dhariwal, co-founder of Land Care, and I'm so excited for today's episode. Caregiving is a journey that tests your strengths, but it's also a chance to find new ways to thrive. Today, we're exploring how to care for others while keeping yourself whole. And our guest today really knows all about that. I'm joined by the incredible Debbie Compton, a best-selling author, certified caregiving consultant, and speaker. She's also a coach who's all about helping caregivers reduce stress, avoid burnout, and rediscover joy. Debbie is someone that turned her own caregiving experience into a mission to empower others with practical insights and strategies. Debbie, it's an honor to have you on Beyond Care. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate any opportunity that I get to support caregivers.
So I wanted to start by asking, um, what was the hardest part of shifting from corporate life to caregiving, and how did you sort of manage that?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, the biggest challenge was the living with the lack of control because I was a manager over teams, and even though they were located nationwide, I could give a directive and it would be accomplished. But when you're taking care of three loved ones with different forms of dementia, which is what I was doing, the rational brain is the first to be affected. And so their ability to rationale is just decreases more and more as the disease progresses. And dealing with that was extremely difficult and trying to learn because I kept trying to apply rational solutions
Mm.
when rationality is gone. And so I think for caregivers, my life was so much better when I once realized they're not giving me a hard time, they're having a hard time.
Right.
And I have the ability to adapt and change. They do not. Therefore, the onus is on me to change my behavior to get a better result if I want to be successful.
Mm. And may I ask, like, how did you kind of have that realization? Did that kind of just happen as you went along on your journey?
No, I did lots and lots of studying, lots of researching,
Mm.
interviewing doctors and nurses, learning everything that I could because I didn't know much about Parkinson's, with which my dad had, and
Mm.
I didn't know a whole lot about vascular dementia that mom had, and I knew some about Alzheimer's, which my mother-in-law had, but not enough to be the full-time caregiver to do it adequately, I felt, because I want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. And so I did lots and lots of studying and research and many hours. That's why now I support caregivers because I can cut their learning curve by years by the studying that I did. Also, from then my certifications that I received after two of my loved ones passed away, I learned a lot of things then too that would have been super helpful had I known at the beginning. But most caregivers find yourself in a caregiving journey what seems like overnight.
Mm.
Truly, it's not. And once you learn all the signs and symptoms, you'll go, oh my goodness, that was a warning sign. And I didn't know it. So that's what happened to me. It's like it seemed like overnight, here I am, a caregiver, I'm flat-footed, I'm unprepared for the journey. And so that's where I come in now to support caregivers and tell them about what's going to be happening, but better, more important than that, tell them ways to deal with it,
Right.
ways to make it a smoother transition, ways to reduce those behaviors that you're going to face, and things that my husband and I created to make life safer and easier.
And in terms of caregiver stress and burnout, which I feel is something that's a very prevalent topic in the caregiving industry, but
Yes.
may not be talked enough about. What would be your top three tips for reducing that?
Um, and you're right, it is a huge thing. It's a huge thing, particularly for dementia caregivers,
Mhm.
because they report higher levels of stress than any other form of caregiver. And it kind of makes sense because if your loved one has a form of cancer, they can still rationalize, you can still discuss things with them, but with dementia, you can't. And it's often totally unappreciated. I didn't even know that caregiver burnout was a thing until I experienced it.
Wow.
And so yeah, it was rough. But what I teach caregivers now is there are things that you can do to take care of yourself, even if you're a solo caregiver, even if you're all alone, there are still things that you can do to reduce your stress. One of those is breathing techniques. Learning breathing techniques will reduce your stress levels, reduce your blood pressure, and help you to think more clearly. Because when you're stressed out, you tense and your shoulders come up, they're like wearing earrings on for your shoulders. And so you're tense and you're tight. The oxygen is restricted then in your brain, and you can't think clearly to come up with logical solutions that you need. So, step one is to lower your own stress levels so that you can create something. So, breathing techniques is the best. I mean, it's quick, it's fast, it's easy. You can do it whenever, wherever. Visual imagery, fantastic. And I have several visual imagery sessions pre-recorded so that people can play it and just listen to me walking them through it before then after a while, they don't need me to be doing the voice. They learn how to do it and they can do it themselves. And so you just transport yourself to another place that's peaceful and calm and quiet, and your brain doesn't know that it's not real. You walk yourself and involve all your emotions. And I'm in the house, honestly, in the bathroom, because that's where only place I could get any peace and quiet. And so I shut the bathroom door, lock the bathroom door, and then you're sitting there, and my happy place is the beach. And so I am close my eyes and take a deep breath and imagine the beach and smell the smells, hear the sounds, feel the sun on my face, walk in the sand. All these things you go through in your mind, and your stress levels reduce and they come down. You get more oxygen in the brain. You can think more clearly. So that's a fantastic one too. Um, and then the third one that I like is it's really about reframing your mindset, because when you're a caregiver, it can be depressing.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by so much negativity, probably not getting the support that you need. Your loved one isn't cooperating. Maybe they don't even know who you are anymore, because that's just heartbreaking. And so you've got all these things. But what I teach caregivers to do is focus on the positive. Write down 3 things that you're thankful for every day. 3 things that you're thankful for, and don't repeat them. You make yourself not repeat them for at least a week so that you can really get into it and appreciate it. Because oftentimes that behavior that's driving you crazy right now, you're going to miss one day, because they're not going to be able to do it. And because dementia just robs you, and it makes your world smaller and smaller and smaller. And under that big, huge dementia umbrella comes Parkinson's, vascular dementia, Lewy body, all these other Alzheimer's. It's a form of dementia. So all these are dementias that currently there's no cure. So we need to find a way to get through it the best that we can. And in order to be the best caregiver that you can be, you got to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
You have to take care of yourself first. When you're exhausted, you're stressed, you're worn out, guess what? You're not a great caregiver. You don't have the patience that you would normally have. Maybe you're snapping at them. And then you go to bed at night and you lay down, you're exhausted, and all these things are running through your mind. I should have done this. I shouldn't have said that. I should have been more helpful. I shouldn't have lost my temper. We just really beat ourselves up. And that's something that's just not productive. So we need to find ways to reframe your mindset and be thankful for what you have.
I really like that. And I really liked the first technique you mentioned, like breathing techniques. That's something that I think everyone should just like adopt, like meditation. And there's like also a lot of guided ones, right? Like on Spotify and like
Yes.
mine that you can do. And
Yeah.
it's so calming at the end of
And just even box breathing. You can do it all by yourself and you don't have to have anybody there, but you have to learn the technique first.
yeah.
Then you can do it.
And I I feel like another coping mechanism that as like human beings we're always drawn to is humor. And how has humor helped you or others, navigate caregiving challenges?
Oh my goodness. It's huge for me. I use humor all the time
Mhm.
in teaching and training. It's in all my books, everything, because you have to learn to laugh. And laughter also is a fantastic stress reducer. So if you can laugh about something, you can get through it. You can bring the stress down. And it's hard to do. It's easy to say. It's much harder to do. Because I took my mother-in-law and my mom. I decided to schedule their doctor's appointment on the same day.
Mhm.
because both of them hated to go to the doctor and they would just give me fits. I'd have a hard time getting them dressed because they knew we were going to the doctor. They didn't want to go. Hard time getting them in the car, hard time the whole way there. It was just a nightmare. And then I had this brilliant idea and I went to my mom, and my mother-in-law were really good friends. So I went to my mom and I said, Jean gets worried when she has to go to the doctor. Can we tell her that it's your doctor visit? And so she said, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll help her. And then I went to my mother-in-law and I said, it stresses mom out when she has to go to the doctor. Can we just pretend the visit is for you so that she'll be calmer? And she says, oh, absolutely, absolutely. So it was great. I got them both dressed, which there, of course, there were hiccups in there. I learned things, you learn as you go. Got Jean fully dressed, sat her on the couch, went into or actually the other way around. I got mom dressed in the bathroom and left her buttoning the last button on her shirt and went to get my mother-in-law dressed and got my mother-in-law fully dressed and mom still hadn't come out. And I'm like, something's wrong here. So I go back to check on mom and she'd put her pajamas back on. But see, it was my fault because I left the pajamas in the bathroom. So with a dementia mindset,
Uh-huh.
you've got no short-term memory. She sees herself buttoning her button. She looks down, sees the pajamas. Oh, it must be time to put my pajamas on. So she unbuttoned and changed her clothes. So it was a lesson learned for me. It's like, okay, all right, I got it. But anyway, you just have to laugh about it because that can be really stressful. And especially when you're like, time is ticking, we got to get to the doctor, we've got to go do the things. And I took mom, another time I took her to an eye doctor appointment. It'd been super stressful getting her there, and she was nervous about going. And so we're doing the constant loop-de-loop. We get there, and I look down and realize she's wearing mismatched shoes. And I thought, oh. And then I went, no, 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 wait, hold up. She's fully dressed. She's got her glasses on. She's got her teeth in, and we are on time. This is a win.
Mm.
Take the win. So, so you just have to learn. And nobody noticed her shoes. It was fine. It was okay. So just don't stress over the little things. We've got to learn to let go.
I love that. I find that hilarious that you told both of them, you kind of like tricked them both into going because they would go for the other person and
Yes,
stuff.
they'd go to help their friend. They
Yeah.
just don't want to go for themselves. It was fantastic. I wish I would have thought of it sooner. And what was funny with that story too is they both had to have blood drawn. And so I took a picture of the two of them because they're in little chairs side
Yeah.
by side getting their blood drawn. And I posted on Facebook and said 2 for 1 sale at the doctor and was just joking. And then people are like, oh, really? Which doctor?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, just kidding.
And then I guess another interesting topic is just caregiving workplaces and assisted living facilities. What do you feel that they can do to better support caregivers as their employees?
I think the number one thing would be if they don't have caregiver support groups, they should
Mhm.
create them. Because when caregivers are a part of a group, you realize you're not all alone. You realize that there are other people going through the same things as you. And I mean, as a caregiver, you think no one's going through this because it's so bizarre.
Right.
Excuse me. And sometimes the behavior is just so crazy. You're like, nobody's going to believe this. This is craziness, My my mother-in-law just drank her perfume. Who does that? And so, yeah, it's scary. I mean, she took Fixodent and thought it was lipstick and was putting it on her lips one day too. And
Oh,
fortunately I saw her and started scrubbing it off really fast before her mouth was stuck shut. Um, so you just have crazy behavior. But the thing that helps is when you can talk to other people or someone who's gone through it. And that's what really helps me because they pretty much can't tell me something that I haven't experienced,
right.
having gone through it 3 times.
Hmm.
And I understand. And that's why I do Zoom consultations because I know how hard it is to get your loved one out and drag them somewhere and
Right.
be worried about what they're getting into. And, you're stressed out because you're trying to get somewhere on time. No, I just book Zoom consultations. And if something comes up and your loved one's having a bad day and you need to reschedule, I get it. Been there, done that. It's okay. And the main thing that I do is to offer encouragement and hope and practical solutions, because that's what caregivers need. When Dad was hallucinating,
Mhm.
I found lots of information about what's going on in his brain. Honestly, I couldn't care less what was going on in his brain. I wanted to know, what can I do to fix this problem? How can I help? And so that's what I offer.
And then before we end, if anyone wanted to like avail your services, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
Okay, well, they can email me, deb@thepurplevine.com, or they can go to my website, thepurplevine.com, and there they will find, I send out a weekly email. It's not really a newsletter, it's more like a, hey, guess what I learned? Or, here's a pointer for you, something to make your life easier, that sort of thing. But I only send it once a week because, again, I know caregivers are overwhelmed. They do not have time to read more than one email a week, or I didn't.
Right.
And so I don't do that to them. And so if you join my email list, then you'll get free resources. You'll learn a lot more about the disease at your own pace. So that's the main way that I support caregivers. And then on the website, you'll find links to all my books. This last one, The Caregiver's Advocate, is an international bestseller. I'm
Wow.
so excited. It's done fantastic. Yeah, number one in all six categories in the US, number one in Canada, Australia, top 50 in the UK, number one Amazon new release. It's just really blown up. It's so fantastic. So much so that we are now starting on volume two,
Wow.
because there's so much information that you can't fit it all in one book. And these other books are support that I created, because as we're going through the journey, it was things that I needed. Coloring books for mom, inspirational, Sunshine for the Soul. That little yellow one is just funny. There's no plot. It's big, large font so that your loved one can read it. It's
Wow.
perfect for someone with dementia, or someone who just needs to brighten their day. And the nurses kept it at the nurses station because when they needed a laugh, because it's got funny stories in it from my life. It's not it's not
Right.
copied stuff. You won't find it anywhere else.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
Debbie, thank you so much for being here today and sharing such practical advice and bringing so much warmth to this conversation. Your passion for helping caregivers really shines through, and I know our listeners are going to feel seen and supported. To everyone tuning in and listening, if this episode spoke to you, please pause and give yourself a moment to breathe, as Debbie suggested. You're doing incredible work and you deserve to care for yourself too. And if this podcast is something that resonates with you, please hit that follow button for Beyond Care to keep getting honest, heartfelt conversations and tools to support your caregiving journey. Until next time, don't forget to take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for listening.